Before he was president, Mirabeau B. Lamar was a hero. He arrived in Texas just weeks before the revolution's end. At the Battle of San Jacinto, the Texas Army was on the brink of disaster. When two Texans were surrounded by Mexican lancers, a private rushed in to save them. That private was Lamar. His bravery was so fierce that the very next day he was promoted from private to colonel and placed in charge of the entire Texan cavalry. He helped lead the charge that won Texas its independence. He was a poet, a warrior, and a dreamer. But when he became president, his dreams for a Texas empire would cost the Republic dearly. Sam Houston saved Texas, but Mirabeau B. Lamar wanted to make it an empire. He hated Houston, and he hated Houston's policies. When he became our second president, he promised a vision of greatness. But dreams are expensive. Today, you are the judge. Was Lamar the father of our future, or a villain who nearly destroyed the Republic? Get your scorecards ready. Lamar famously said, "A cultivated mind is the guardian genius of democracy." He knew that if Texans couldn't read, they couldn't vote wisely. So he convinced Congress to set aside 18,000 acres of land in every single county to pay for public schools. He also set aside 220,000 acres for two universities. At the time, the land was worthless wilderness, but today, the oil found in that land is worth billions and still pays for Texas colleges. So, is the father of Texas education a villain or a visionary? Get your scorecard, you decide. The Republic was a hard place to live. A bad harvest or a lost job could put your family in debt. In the United States, banks could take everything you owned, even your house, leaving you homeless. Lamar changed that. He signed the Homestead Act of 1839. This law protected a Texan's home and 50 acres of land from ever being seized to pay off debts. It ensured that no matter how poor you became, you would not lose the roof over your head. This protection exists in the Texas Constitution to this day. So, was Lamar a compassionate leader protecting the largest investment of the average citizen? Or was he unfair to bankers and lenders? Please decide on your scorecard. Lamar hated Sam Houston, and he hated the capital city named after him. He called Houston a city of mud and mosquitoes. He wanted a capital that faced west towards the empire he wanted to build. He chose a tiny frontier settlement called Waterloo and renamed it Austin. It was incredibly risky. The new capital was right on the edge of Comanche territory. Government clerks worked with pistols on their desks, and congressmen were occasionally chased by raiding parties. But it forced Texas to grow westward. So, was moving the capital and the government from Houston to Austin a way to force westward expansion? Or was it a reckless and dangerous way to insult Sam Houston? Get your scorecards ready. You decide. Here is the darkest chapter. Lamar reversed Houston's peace treaties. He ordered the Cherokee to leave Texas. He further called for the total extinction of tribes that would not leave Texas. When Chief Bowles refused, Lamar sent the army to the Battle of the Neches, where 800 Texans killed the 83-year-old chief. Chief Bowles was a friend of Sam Houston, They were close enough that Houston had given him a sword as a gift. Chief Bowles died in battle while carrying the sword that his Texan friend had given him. Later, in San Antonio, there was a peace meeting that became known as the Council House Fight. Lamar's policies created distrust and aggression. Texans tried to take Comanche negotiators hostage when only one Texan captive, who had been treated horribly, was being returned. It turned into a slaughter. 35 Comanches and 7 Texans died in the meeting hall. As a result, the Comanches launched the Great Raid of 1840, burning towns all the way to the coast. This also led to the Battle of Plum Creek. Lamar succeeded in removing the Cherokees and pushing the Comanches to the frontier. But this also created decades of mistrust and conflict. So, was Lamar's policy of Native American removal at threat of death an unnecessary act of aggression, or was it necessary to preserve the safety of the Texans living in Texas? Get your scorecards ready. You decide. Lamar wanted the world to take Texas seriously. He bought a fleet of expensive warships to rebuild the Texas Navy. He purchased the technologically advanced steamship, the Zavala. He even leased the Navy to rebels in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula to harass the Mexican government. It was expensive, but it worked diplomatically. Impressed by the strength of Texas, France became the first European nation to recognize Texas independence, followed by Great Britain. Texas finally had a seat at the world table. So, was Lamar's purchase of a modern navy necessary for world recognition and Texas strength? Or was it an overpriced and expensive vanity project that Texas couldn't afford? Get your scorecards ready. You decide. Wars, navies, new capitals, and building empires are expensive. Lamar's solution? Print more money. He issued redbacks, paper money that had no gold or silver to back it up. Confidence in Texas failed. At one point, a Lamar redback dollar was worth only 12 cents. People were using stacks of redbacks to light fires because the currency was worth less than wood. By the time he left office, the Texas debt had exploded from $2 million to $7 million. This would be an equivalent debt of $270 million in 2025. The economy was in ruins. So, was Lamar's rampant spending and subsequent inflation necessary growing pains for a new republic, or was it financial incompetence? Get your scorecards ready. You decide. Lamar's biggest dream was to stretch Texas all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Controlling trade networks would be necessary to achieve that dream. Further, according to the Treaty of Velasco, Santa Fe was a part of Texas. However, Mexico still controlled Santa Fe and its valuable trade routes. Without approval from Congress, Lamar sent 320 soldiers and merchants to capture Santa Fe from Mexico. If successful, this would result in control of an important network of trade routes. It was a nightmare. The men got lost, ran out of water, and ate lizards to survive. On top of this, they were attacked by Comanches. Is anyone really surprised by that? When they finally arrived, the Mexican army was waiting. The expedition surrendered without firing a shot and was marched 1,000 miles to prison in Mexico City. It was a national embarrassment. So, was Lamar's Santa Fe expedition necessary to reclaim a Texas city and to expand the trade networks of Texas? Or was it a foolish waste of resources resulting in a national humiliation? Get your scorecards ready. You decide. You have made your observations and conducted your analysis. The evidence is in. Look at your scorecard. Was he the good visionary or the evil villain? On the one hand, he gave us our capital, our universities, and our homestead protections. On the other hand, he left the nation bankrupt and at war on all sides. Villain or visionary? You decide. On the back of your scorecard, you have a writing assignment. Use critical thinking in your responses and use professional language in your writing. Before you start your writing, here is the epilogue to Lamar's story. Lamar left office in 1841, unpopular and bitter. But his story didn't end there. When Texas finally joined the United States in 1845, something he once opposed, but eventually accepted to save the economy, he put his uniform back on. At age 48, he fought in the Mexican-American War, leading Texans again at the Battle of Monterrey. He later served as a U.S. minister to Nicaragua and Costa Rica. 2 months after returning home to his plantation in Richmond, Texas, he died of a heart attack in 1859. Today, we remember him as a complex man, a poet who waged war, a spender who invested in the future, the second president of the Republic of Texas.